Hello there, everyone. My name is Saturn Cap, and welcome back to another episode of Outrageous Conspiracy Theories. Today we're going to be looking at the simulation theory, basically saying that we're not really on Earth, that we're in some kind of simulation or a game or something. Basically, if you've played through Bandersnatch on Netflix, it's essentially the same thing. This was first presented in 2003 by Nick Bostrom, and it's basically saying that in the future, or a more advanced society could create simulations more advanced than we can right now, and that already with video games and stuff like that, they're fairly similar to like how real life is in terms of like graphics and stuff like that. Whereas in the future they could create more advanced simulations. And in those simulations, we would all be non-player characters. Notable people that believed in this were like Stephen Hawking and Elon Musk in 2016 said that we have one chance in a billion to be the real society. Other than that, we're a simulation. So Elon Musk strongly believes that we're in a simulation. So even if we were, how would we know that we're in a simulation? Like, how could any proof be shown? And I've come up with two different ideas that I think could possibly paint a picture that we are in some kind of simulation, that not everything is as it seems. So the first of my ideas is through religion, and the second is through a glitch in programming or other signs pointing to the possibility of a simulation. So let's go down this first rabbit hole of religion to start off. So when it comes to religion, essentially God would be the programmer responsible for creating Earth. And so this programmer would have to be some sort of like narcissist or likes fourth wall breaks by the individuals involved, which would be like prayer or other religious practices, basically just to fuel that own person's ego, basically saying that they're our creator and we need to respect them. There could also be like people like Jesus or the Egyptian gods or other gods that actually appeared before their people, allegedly, would be the player's avatar, with us being like non-player characters, for a way with them to interact with people, especially if people were to start catching on to signs that we are in a simulation. It would be a good way to like cover tracks to make people believe that there is a higher power involved, and that's why some things don't have to add up. There can be miracles, or there can be unexplained phenomena and stuff like that. So like all ideas, there are some flaws, like the promise of an afterlife. Obviously, if we're in a simulation, it's very unlikely that whoever programmed the simulation also programmed an afterlife for each one of the individual people involved. However, this could also be explained as like an empty promise to keep people, flowing like normal. to stop from ensuing chaos by people who don't believe that there is something after life. Another flaw is the different amount of religions in the world. People pray to countless amount of gods every single day. Like, take Hinduism, for example. There's a ton of different gods and goddesses. I mean, they all stem back to one, so technically it's a monotheistic religion. But still, along with every other religion out there that people believe in. However, this could also be, there's a team of developers that all want influence rather than just one sole programmer or developer for the world that we live on. And I feel like this one makes more sense than just having one anyways, because with something that advanced, it would have to be like a really, really far advanced society for it to be just like one person behind it. So having a whole team of people, I mean, the idea for all of them to want to have some influence in how like the simulation runs and stuff like that doesn't seem too far-fetched, Like, take Stan Lee. I mean, I know movies aren't really the same thing as like a simulation, but he made himself involved in every Marvel movie up until his passing. Obviously, he can't be in the future ones, but it would make sense for a creator to want to be a part of their creation. Now, let's take a trip down the second rabbit hole, which is the glitch in programming. So, I'd like to start this one off with the idea of the Big Bang. Basically, there was nothing, and then there was a huge explosion, creating all of the matter for the entire universe that just spread out and created galaxies and planets and stuff like that. When thinking of that, it reminds me of in movies or games when they turn on like a TV or something. Before they turn it on, it's all black. And then when they turn it on, the light makes its way from the center of the screen, exploding outwards to fill the rest of it. It is fairly rapid, but that's how it appears on the screen. I'll try and find an example of this and put it in the video, but to me, that's what I can think of closest to anything related to this idea based off of the Big Bang. Another idea that I've seen frequently when doing some research for this video is the idea of quantum mechanics and how those could be glitches in programming because people aren't really sure how it works. For those of you who don't know what quantum mechanics are, its definition on Google is the branch of mechanics that deals with the mathematical description of the motion and interaction of subatomic particles, incorporating the concepts of quantization of energy, wave-particle duality, the uncertainty principle, and the correspondence principle. So it's essentially talking about like how electrons and protons and all of those different quirks that go into atoms, how they um, how they interact with the world around us. Like, I saw that electrons, like light, move in waves. And people don't really know why this is. Things that we can't explain could just be from the lack of our ability to know about that due to, constraints and like programming and stuff like that. And that leads me into my next point on why there are limits as to what we can accomplish. Progress isn't always exponential. Take computers, for example. We're getting close to what processors can handle. So unless we find a new way to power computers and stuff like that, we're eventually gonna our progress is eventually gonna stagnate. It seems there's also limits on what we can't do too. We have a people have survived many things that could have easily wiped out our entire population. Like, take how fragile the human body is, and then think about all of the things that we have been through as a people. It's crazy that we've survived this long. During the Ice Age, it only got about 12 degrees colder than it is today. Not accounting for the fact that these last 4 years have been record high temperatures. But it says that this was enough to keep snow from melting during the summer in the northern regions. And since it was cold enough to keep snow from melting, it was cold enough to cause serious bodily harm without us as a people adapting to overcome that. And then there's been the different plagues and wars, genocide. All of these could have easily caused humanity to cease to exist, considering how fragile we are. Like, you casually hit your nose wrong, and it sends a bone fragment into your brain and kills you. Or you get hit in your liver, that can put you out of commission. There's just so many things that can easily kill people that it's crazy that something hasn't wiped us out. And then the last thing that I'd like to cover on here for glitch in the programming is doppelgangers and the Mandela effect. So first off, for those of you who don't know what a doppelganger is, it literally translates to double person. Whether this is over periods of history or it happens to be two people that are living at the exact same time, it's essentially two people that look essentially the exact same. And over history, it's been seen as a bringer of bad luck or an evil twin. But this could come from, programming constraints with character models. You see that in all games. there can only be so many different character models without taking up too much time or too much memory for each different character model. I'm not a programmer myself. I'm not 100% on how that works. All that I know is that a lot of games use the same model multiple times. Games like Grand Theft Auto have you run into people that look the same. Usually in games it'll be like the fans in the stands or whatever that they'll just sprinkle in there looking the same. And then if you've seen my last video in the Outrageous Conspiracy Theory series, it was on the Mandela effect and how that proved that we were in a alternate dimension after 2012. But it could also be used as evidence as to why we are in a simulation. With updates and bug fixes and other things that have to go into play when you have a simulation or a game or anything like that. There are minor changes, whether it's the spelling of one word, like the Berenstain Bears being an A and not an E, or if it's something larger, people believing that Nelson Mandela died in prison when he really didn't. That's about all that I have looking at how we could possibly be in a simulation. But at the end of the day, even if we are in a simulation, I think the most important thing is acceptance. Knowing that even if we are in a simulation, there's nothing we can do about it. There's nothing that's going to change that. And that doesn't change anything about our life, you know. We're living how we're living. Whether we're a bunch of accidental chemical reactions that created life, or some being created us, or we're a bunch of code. We're here doing us. And that's how it's going to continue to go, even if it does come out that we are in a simulation. Unless this is some like Sword Art Online kind of thing and we gotta beat the game to get out. But as always, I've been Saturn Cap. Thank you for sticking around. If you've made it this far in the video, comment NPC down below. Subscribe if you're new. Like if you enjoyed the video. And you can follow me on Twitter at CapSaturn. The link will be in the description, along with the link to a video that I watched before recording this, which is where I got some of the facts from. It was really well put together. It was about 22 minutes long. And even if you don't want to go watch the video, reading the comments is always pretty interesting on videos like that. And I'll see you all next time. Later.